You've pressed the red button. Now, here's something of no value.
Stewart, this week's show was about finance, really, and all the financial trouble there is in the world. As executive producer of the show, I had to sit you down at the end of that recording that we've just watched and explain to you that because of the economic climate and as constraints within the BBC's own budget, that you wouldn't be receiving a fee for that show.
Well, I'm happy with that, and because I think that one of the great things about this country is that there's public broadcasting, and I think it's a privilege and a pleasure to work for the BBC, and I would rather pay to work for the BBC than be paid to work for an independent broadcaster. I see it as my duty to find other work to subsidise my ongoing possibility of BBC work.
Okay, so do you have a second job at the moment?
Well, I've been working driving a little tractor around sort of on Hackney Marshes, getting stuff out of the way for the Olympics to be built.
Are there other people that one would think of as being quite comfortably well off, who in fact you see doing other jobs?
Well, there's a common misconception with the public that everyone that you see on television is doing really well. Actually, a lot of the time you have to do other work to subsidise it. Alvin Stardust, who was in Hollyoaks for a long time, he's doing similar, he builds little walls and things for where the Olympic stadiums will be. He's not qualified to finish the whole structures off, but he can do some of the basic foundation work. He's there. And Patrick Moore as well. Is just cut some of the grass in the area. Well, there's a lot of work needed for that project, and a lot of it's cash in hand. And when we're there, we sleep in the toilet block overnight, so that we can maximise the hours for the next day.
Now, if I were to tell you that I pocketed your fee to enhance my fee as executive producer on this show, how would you feel then?
Well, I'd feel happy again, because I think it's just such a privilege to be working for the BBC alongside talents like David Attenborough and Adrian Chiles. To be in that company, and yourself,
and me,
is fine. And I don't expect anything from it at all.
And I just wondered if you could rank my talent alongside David Attenborough and Adrian Chiles.
You were the third in that trinity of people.
Really? And is there any way that we could change that, or that you could be persuaded to?
Well, David Attenborough's position is unassailable. Adrian Chiles, I don't think he's got a sell-by date. I don't know. I think it's where it is. Yeah. David
Attenborough's unassailable.
Yeah, he's an unassailable position of he is the BBC. Sums it all up. Yeah.
There's no way. You honestly think there's no way that I can have more. I couldn't have more talent than David Attenborough?
Not without expanding your portfolio to include insect work.
Okay, well, I'm happy to do that. But I just cannot imagine a world in which it's impossible to conceive of me being less popular than David Attenborough. I just find that unfathomable.
Well, what can I say?
All right. Well, what we'll do is we'll take your comments earlier and we'll just re-edit it to make it sound like I was better than them. But how possible is it for a man to rent out his anal passage?
Viewers will be interested to know that is real footage of a colonoscopy, and because of the current climate, the BBC didn't want to pay out to hire any in or buy any in, and it's actually footage that was donated by a friend of one of the people working on the crew who was going for a colonoscopy and just asked if he could have the tape. So that is
so hang on. So it's not actually the actors.
No, it's not the actors. It's not Miles Jupp's
investigation.
It's not Miles Jupp's internal organs that we're seeing there. It's those of a friend.
Well, that's something we have to actually make clear from the start.
We have to make it clear, but I also thought people would be interested in the fact that it wasn't just bought in willy-nilly. That was actually donated by someone connected with the production.
Yes, but you know what's going to happen. I mean, all hell is going to break loose unless that programme is preceded with a warning from the BBC saying viewers may like to know that the scenes set in a colon in the following programme are not of the actor Miles Jupp.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a bit like when Stephen Fry was supposed to be driving around America in his taxi, and they had to put this thing up at the beginning saying, this isn't his actual taxi, it's one we got in America that is the same, because the cost of shipping it over would have been prohibitive. You could make an announcement about it being the colon, interior shots of the colon of someone other than the actor. You could do that, but I don't think that anyone at home is realistically expecting us to have rigged up the whole little camera thing so that we could see the inside of Miles Jupp's organs. If every sketch where you see an internal investigation of someone has to actually be actual footage of the internal organs of that actor, then it's going to be pretty much impossible to make any television.
Yes, but that is the current climate. I mean, well, for example, autopsies now have to be actual autopsies of the actors playing the part of the person being.
Well, it's a very short-sighted policy. I don't, I think people understand what acting is, and acting is, acting and making a programme are about, you use certain sleights of hand. So what? It wasn't internal footage of Miles Jupp's internal organs.
Car crash is another one. In a drama, if there's a car crash, then those actors genuinely have to.
Well, it's not going to work.
They cut the cable. They basically cut the cable on the brakes.
There's a lot of actors. There's a glut of them in many ways, but we're not.
Which is why it's fine to lose two in a take.
You can't treat people like that.
You ship another two if you want to do a retake.
If the public are saying that every time there's an act of violence on television, an actual actor has to be killed. What progress have we made since the Roman Colosseum, when people were murdered and killed in the pursuit of entertainment? Someone's got to draw a line in the sand and say, obviously there's a certain amount of sleight of hand and of freedom with the truth. And if the point at which that starts is the internal colonoscopy footage in this programme, then great, I'm glad to have put that on the agenda.
Now, because of the current climate, we've got to try and make as much money. We've got to basically recoup the cost of the programme. We're still under. We're still in the red. So we have to come up with as many money-making schemes as possible. The first thing we want to do is just do... I just wondered if you could sing a Stewart Lee ringtone that we could then sell online. Have you got any catchphrases?
Well, there aren't any catchphrases in it. No? I mean, that's another oversight. There's no repetition, there's no catchphrases.
It's political correctness gone mad.
Well, in week 3 that gets said a lot, but, it's not a phrase that I came up with. I mean...
A comprehensive, was it, study of its causes?
In week 1, week 2, a comprehensive study of its causes.
I mean, that'd be ideal if you did that in a sort of funny voice right now.
It's just not something that can be stripped for its assets.
Oh, I know, but if you could.
Yeah. What, the phrase a comprehensive study of its causes?
In a funny voice.
A comprehensive study of its causes. I think that would be a good ringtone.
That would be a good ringtone.
All right, fine.
Yeah. And that will net us up to £400 or £500.
Wow.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Within the month.
Right.
Okay, and just a final question. I have £10. What would you do for it?
For £10?
Yeah.
Well, I'd be prepared to source some of the footage of my own colonoscopic investigations and sell that onto the BBC.